One of the most frequently asked questions I get in my practice is, can things go back to normal after a separation? Well, in today's video, I'm going to go about explaining that. And before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button below and click on that bell notification as well, so every week you get access to my latest videos where I talk you through a little bit more about what you can do to save your relationship or marriage, how to learn more about male psychology, and how to really heal from within after some really difficult times such as infidelity or separation. Now I want to make sure everyone watches this entire video because I'm going to walk through it in a very systematic way. Now before we actually go about answering the question, can things go back to normal? The first question that we've really got to ask ourselves is, what is your definition of normal? What does that even mean? You know, for each relationship that can mean different things. For some people it's going to bed at night together at the same time, connecting. For others, it just means that you guys are focused on your careers and just hanging out maybe a couple of times a month, maybe going out for dinner or whatever is good enough because your careers are your main focus. Whatever that is, you've got to decide on what normal means. And I'm a real big believer that relationships are our greatest source of pain and pleasure. So I think it's really important to set really high standards. The key thing though is that if we want that to be normal, it doesn't mean we can just overnight flick the switch and then everything will just get to that place. We can have that as our vision, but it's going to take a number of steps and a certain period of time to get to that place. So don't expect things to just shift overnight. Play the long game, always remember that. Now for the purposes of this video, I'm going to assume that you and your husband or partner are wanting to actually work on the relationship. If you are in a place where your husband or partner is not interested in it, then I will shoot a separate video about how to actually tackle that. Now to further go about answering this question about whether things can go back to normal, we've got to understand what actually sparked or initiated the separation. You know, was it infidelity? Was it criticism? Was it control? Was it a lack of sex? What was it that actually drove things to its current state? We have to understand that first. Because if we don't understand what's actually gone and why things have got to the current state, then we have no ability to really be able to move forward. Now some people might think, well, what's the point of looking back on the past? Why can't we just move forward? Now that sounds nice in principle, but if we're just moving forward and we have no understanding or no acknowledgement of what actually happened in the past, we have no way of trying to improve, because we'll end up just carrying those same things forward because we have no understanding of what's actually going on. We've got to get clear on what's actually happened in the past. That doesn't mean we live in the past. That doesn't mean we keep focusing on the past. But we have to set aside some time initially to understand what actually got us to this place. Now the second complexity that we want to throw in here is how committed are each other towards building trust. Now for a lot of individuals, if we're talking about infidelity, some people might look at infidelity and think, okay, well that person engaged in it and so it's solely on them. And whilst they are responsible for that behavior, often it takes two people to get to a current place where that person goes off and does those things. And what I've found as well is that trust is on both sides. And even the person who engages in that infidelity sometimes has a lack of trust for the other person in terms of meeting emotional needs, creating emotional safety, and how much do they believe that that person can deliver on what they've promised. Integrity is right across the board. It's not just when it comes to infidelity. So we've got to look at this as a whole and not just one individual behavior. And how much are both parties committed to that? Thirdly, the ability to take personal responsibility. Are both parties committed to owning their stuff, owning their decisions, owning their actions, owning how they've shown up in the relationship? Or are they just defensive all the time? And finally, a genuine willingness to make the relationship a priority. This is just my personal belief, but I genuinely feel that relationships are the greatest source of pleasure, but they're also the greatest source of pain. But I sure know that the feelings and the emotions that I get when me and my wife are having wonderful times together and connecting and being playful surpasses anything that I can experience in my life, period. And hence, for both of us, our relationship is our priority. Now, what encompasses all of that as well is our ability to create that healing on the inside. So if you've been on the receiving end of infidelity, that's going to create, huge pain and huge trauma on so many levels. And if we're not focusing on our ability to heal from that, then what ends up happening is we struggle to move forward. No matter what our partner does, even if they were the person that engaged in the infidelity, it'll never feel like you can rebuild that trust again. And so you'll always be hoping and wishing that you can just get that trust back, but because we're not focusing on that healing on the inside, then it prevents us from being able to really build something special in the long run. We're always keeping our eyes open all the time. We're always wanting to check the phone. We're always wanting to check social media. All of those behaviors start to really creep into our daily lives because we're in such pain. So my invitation to you is to make sure that you're also focusing on your own healing and your own growth. Now you can do this alongside your husband as well. I really do believe that, and I've seen this many, many times in my work. So can things go back to normal? Yes, they absolutely can, but as I said before, what is your definition of normal? And not only that, but rather than setting normal as your standard, set something that is exceptional. Set something that you really want to create that's going to take this relationship to a whole new level. That's really what we want to talk about. So I want to show you just a quick exercise that you can actually go through with your husband or partner that can really help to rebuild that trust and really deepen that connection, that bond between the two of you, because you're learning to understand each other at a deeper level. Firstly, choose an issue that you aren't particularly emotional about, but may have caused a bit of a blow up in the past. And then decide who's actually going to take the lead in terms of initiating this exercise. And secondly, what you want to do is you want to commit to each other that neither of you are going to interject or interrupt on any kind of level when the other person is speaking. And that also includes non-verbal interrupts, like, or, any kind of facial expression. Really take the time to listen and feel it in your heart. Don't flip it back on yourself. Just listen and empathize with what that person's going through and what they're sharing. Thirdly, the person that's speaking can then explain the emotion that came up for them when they were going through that blow up, whatever it was. Now that emotion might be sadness or anger or frustration or hurt or whatever it is. Now the key thing when you're communicating this is not to be like, oh, I was just so angry, I was so pissed off at you, like really intensifying the emotions. And that's why we want to choose an event that doesn't stir up those emotions as much. I think about me and my wife, sometimes we've had blow-ups over the most minute things, and so if we want to talk about these things now, it just becomes quite funny. It's something quite hilarious when we talk about it, but at least we can still express how we felt at that time, but not get emotional about it now. Next, what we want to do is understand the deeper core feeling that was actually coming up as a result of those emotions. So let's say the anger came up. It might be, well, I got angry because I think at the deeper level what I felt was abandoned, or I felt inadequate on some level. What is the deeper core feeling underneath all of that? And the best way to explain this is your first level emotion is the anger, the sadness, and so on, the previous step that I talked about. And then that emotion came up in reaction to a deeper core feeling. What is that deeper core feeling? As I say, some examples might be abandonment, loneliness, inadequacy, failure, and so on. Next, what you need to do is express at that level of consciousness that you were at that time, what did you need? So what I mean by this is, as you're asking these questions, as you're taking this approach to communication, you're in a higher level of consciousness because you're not reacting from those lower levels. You're actually taking a step back, understanding what happened at a deeper level, and then being able to be aware of what was the deeper emotions. Whereas when we're in it, we don't have that ability a lot of the times to be rational, to be clear about what's actually going on at a deeper level, where we're just reacting on emotion. And that's what we call almost a lower level of consciousness. A higher level of consciousness is where we can actually step back, understand what's going on at a deeper level, understanding what wounds have been presented, and have clarity of thought and so on. What you really want to be doing is saying, hun, when this happened, when those emotions came up inside of me, what I really needed was X. I needed you to listen. I needed you to just understand. I didn't need you to fix anything at the moment. And then what you want to do is lead into the next step, which is about taking responsibility and apologizing for those reactionary behaviors. As previously mentioned, you might have said something like, what I needed from you at that time was for you to just listen. But at the same time, I really want to apologize for how I showed up. I shouldn't have got angry at you. I shouldn't have gone off at you. I know your intention was not to hurt me. And for that, I genuinely am sorry. I just wanted you to understand a little bit more about what were some of the drivers behind my behaviors at the moment. Does that make sense? You know, I love you, hun, and I really, really wanted to share this, and I'd love for you to do the same for me. And then both of you together then can collectively share your experiences, understand what was going on at a deeper level, understand the deeper core feelings, understand the reactionary behaviors, take ownership for it, apologize, and then decide, okay, what can we do moving forward now to then improve our communication? And what you can do in that situation is say, listen, hun, sometimes, you know, I might be in these moments where I'm just a bit more emotional or I'm a bit frustrated. And what I really need from you is just to listen, to be there, because there is nothing greater. When you listen to me, it just fills my love tank up so much and makes me feel so special and so on. And then he might express to you at times certain things that he needs. And if both of you can really take that opportunity to learn about what each other needs, that is when things can really go to a whole new level. So the short of it is that yes, relationships can go back to normal. Understand what your vision is in terms of normality. But remember to really set your bar high. Set something that's high standards, but take small steps to get to that place. That's a really important thing to do. So I hope this all makes sense. And look, if you're wanting to go a little bit deeper into all of this stuff and you're wanting to create a deeper level of healing and take your relationship to a whole new level that goes beyond some of the points that I've talked about here, what I'd encourage you to do is check out my free masterclass training in the description section below. And what it talks you through are the 3 steps that my client Sarah used to be able to save her marriage in less than 60 days. She's a remarkable woman. Her transformation was incredible. And I know you'll get a lot out of it. So once again, in the description section below, click on that link to register for the free masterclass. Enter a time that works for you and your email address. And just come along with a paper and pen or your iPad, etc. And just take plenty of notes. Watch the entire video. You'll get tons out of it. And I can't wait to be of service to you. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've liked it, make sure you hit that like button below. If you want to get more videos like this, hit that subscribe button. And do let me know if you've got any questions or if you've got any takeaways or anything you want to share. Please write them in the comments below. And I'll do my best to respond to every single one of you. And if you want to learn what you can do to really create that emotional healing on the inside to help you with the process that I've talked you through now, just check out this video above. And I'll walk you through some steps that you can take immediately. Thank you so much. God bless, and I'll talk to you in the next video.